Hello, peace, my friend. Oh, nice. The balloons. You were the first person to ever successfully emoji my show. How you doing, man?
That was okay. It was an accident, but I liked it.
Was it really?
Yeah. Such a fan of your show, man. Thanks for having me. This is my favorite show. I mean, the only news show that Rad Indie Media, I kind of like, and your clips come up all the time. So I'm always seeing you and hearing you and learning from you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. For those wondering, I'm playing the video to Flexorcist on the side panel there. In case people are wondering why there's a devil walking through the screen.
Back to Marco.
Yeah. Excellent video, excellent song. How did you guys clearly had fun filming that?
Yeah. Well, filming is always fun and is quick and fun, and the editing process is kind of long and painful.
Does it feel the same for music?
Similar with music. Those first moments are super fun, and then hearing it.
And then that fades.
Yeah.
I am more of a lyrics guy than I think some people, or maybe a lot of people. I love a lot of your lyrics, and some of them are just awesome. Some of them are funny. Some of them are darkly comedic. In When Will the Time of These Bastards End, you say, who's to say who should live, who should die, who's to, surely not just you powder-wigged swine. You should send your own young, stop sending mine. First Amendment and freedom, they say, while our best men are jailed, silenced, or dead. When you were writing those, was there, like, were you thinking about specific things, or is it more just the general kind of endless war?
I don't know. I was trying, we talk about politics, and in a lot of songs, it kind of comes out in subtle ways. And so I was just like, let me just try to be as specific as I can be right now. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm thinking of, the known, Edward Snowden, I guess, and, Assange. And I mean, there's such a long list. I'm sure you can probably rattle them off way better than me. So, yeah, I mean, I learned it from watching you, Dad. And so, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, I guess we're doing an interview, so I'm supposed to. You're setting me up. I'm rusty. I've been at home. First live interview, I guess. No, I did a radio thing. Anywho, I think that
that's not true. I watched you doing an interview about this album. What was it, Apple Music or something?
Yeah, right. But I mean, I guess I always want to talk about the things that you're talking about. But, as you know, those forums, it's a fine line. I'm trying to help the record so we can kind of spread the gospel.
I get it maybe more than a lot of people realize, because my live streams have become largely not comedy. I mean, I am funny at times, but they're largely not comedy. But my foundation, and 25 years of my life is just comedy, but it was comedy with a message. But then it becomes more and more tricky to get that message in there, still be comedic, and play to sometimes people that aren't going to agree to you. And can you make them all laugh? And, or at least a lot of them. I don't need to make them all laugh. And so it becomes this kind of tightrope act. And I imagine some of that's similar with music. I guess with music, unlike comedy, you can cover it up more if you want to. But is that something you like with the lyrics, I guess, especially? Is that something you're like, this is a little too on the nose? Or?
No, not really. I mean, with the music, not really. You're just trying to make it, I guess, as universal as you can, like if it can be specific and universal. But I'm more talking about interviews, really, because if you really want to go on and talk about the true, they just kind of cut you off. I mean, I was even watching like an interview with Ta-Nehisi Coates, and he was, I'm sure you've seen. I probably saw it on Rad Indie Media.
Oh, so. the Good Morning America or something.
I don't know. There was that guy, the kind of liberal guy with the glasses guy, and they seemed like they were maybe friends. I don't know. They were just kind of talking, and then when Israel came up, he was like, "So what was it like?" Because he kind of went and he talks about how he like saw both sides, and he learned and he realized quickly what it was and stuff. But this guy was just like, "So what was it like?" Kind of getting such a one-sided perspective when you were like kind of like already.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be the same interview, but in the one that went kind of viral for how this guy treated him, he said your book would fit perfectly in an extremist backpack. It basically said, how does it feel knowing the terrorists would love this book? Like, it was the most garbage question.
I saw that guy, the guy with the black hair, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your book would go, that's kind of high praise, though. It's like Malcolm X, MLK. I don't think interviewers, if you watch old clips, they all said the same things. That's what's so funny.
Yeah, and so you've experienced that where you start to get into the real shit, and then they're kind of like, okay, let's move away from that.
I know, but I will say though, I was thinking, trying to be positive, because we always talk about how there's kind of no one. There's like a handful, you, Chris Hedges, and whatever. There's a lot, but also in terms of mainstream, there's zero. So I would say, even though I think there's so few people talking about it with this kind of platform, I think there's a lot of people watching still in the shadows, and who kind of get it. I think it's definitely not, again, a mainstream voting block at the moment, but I think it's more than just the people talking about it. I think a lot, so I think you're doing a great job doing it. I think you do make it funny. I think you do the perfect amount. So I always laugh and cry when I watch your shows.
I really appreciate that, man. Yeah, I think one of the places you can see, there's certain places you can see that whether it's still this two-party system or not, you can see people are waking up. The new acceptance and understanding of this, that this is a genocide in Gaza, is one of the big areas. But also the number of independents in this country, like, I think that's been a big shift. Like, people are waking up.
Yeah, I'm amazed that people can still, like, the two parties. And I think what's interesting is that people kind of softly all accept that the military and some combination of secret bad guys kind of decide policy, and it's not the public. So they kind of understand that. They understand the government and all that is kind of has these like secret motives. But what puzzles me is that they can't understand that the mainstream media is like a complete like hand in hand partner with that, and they act like, well, they can still like watch CNN, Fox, and kind of to like criticize them or talk about them. But it's such a joke. It's so insane, and that's the part that when you bring that up, people are like, oh no, that's too far. Now you're talking crazy talk. But if you really kind of factually analyze it, it's the only kind of sane thing that really adds up. And because people are always like, it's so weird, it's too overwhelming, it's too confusing. Like, not really. If you kind of analyze, there's and also just to say the other side, in case, because I'm always imagining from all sides. I think it would be great to have a world with big companies and trusted big corporate media companies. Even I just think it has to somehow be filtered through kind of deception proof system. I think deception is the modern kind of plague of the time. I think that when societies went from tribal societies to large societies, deception became much easier. I think that's like the main flaw with society, and I think it's just now it's at an all-time high in terms of the mask falling off. It's been like that forever. So there's never been democracy. There's never been like a deception democracy. So I think everyone agrees with that. Everyone wants that. So it's not even a radical. So I always want to like take it back to like a simple place, because I know everyone kind of agrees. And you talk about something like Palestine, it's so kind of politicians, they get like they drop like flies, because obviously we have like a lobbying system that gets you elected. So you can't go against it's same if you go against any big company. So it's such a divisive issue, and it's like I'd almost rather, can we take it back to things that we all agree on? Because if we got to the point where you couldn't deceive, then issues like Palestine wouldn't even be complicated.
I think that's a great point, that there's certain, to try and get more people to unite in these causes, you find the kind of core thing that people can all get behind, whether doesn't matter what your politics on any specific topic is. And so those core things would be like democracy, would be like truth.
Well, democracy is such a dead word. It's
like
capitalism. It can mean anything. I mean, we almost need like a weird new vocabulary or something. But it's not about like a cheesy like let's all unite. It's not even about that. I think
no, I want to let's all unite so we can guillotine people. So,
but the thing is, we tried that. It didn't work. I think it should be the same kind of process where it's like, oh, these are the bad people, but instead of chopping their heads off, I think we've talked about it last time, they're not allowed to be own newspapers or be in politics, and right now those are the only people who own newspapers and are in politics.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, I guess, if we have to keep the guillotine in the museum. All right. It's like, as long as they can keep us divided amongst 17,000 other topics. Oh, you disagree with me on this one thing out of 1,000 topics. You're dead to me. As long as they can keep that going, there's not going to be any fear of the fact that the people could rise up or demand anything. There's no leverage.
Yeah. Basic strategy that's been used since probably the beginning of societies. I mean, all countries are trying to get people to fight against each other so they can defeat them, and you can't think that the same people who are deploying those strategies aren't doing them politically to us. I think that's very naive, and it's just it's not that we're flawed, it's just how we're evolved. We believe what we hear because it wasn't that complicated in the 100,000 years ago or something. It was more like, there's a tiger or a lion right there. We must, like when you said something,
read all about it.
It was direct. And so deception is kind of like a new thing in terms of how it can be used on a big scale. And I think, with, a lot of like Freudian studies and a lot of the advertising studies and all that, like Nazis were kind of pioneers, I guess. I just think all those things are being, are happening right now. And a lot of people just kind of still naively believe the thing that they hear that's put in front of their face. It's like, well, it's Yankees against Red Sox, guys. Like, what are you going to do? It's like, I don't know. Like, and, in terms of Democrat, Republican, and it's just so beyond what real people care about, I think, would care about in a vacuum. And I think even talking to conservative people, just kind of, I think everyone would be psyched if there was, less deception in all media and politics.